Good afternoon. The Memphis and Shelby County Board of Adjustment is hereby called to order for its regularly scheduled meeting of April 23rd, 2025. My name is Tim Rainey. I'm chairman of the board. Mr. Jeffrey Penzis serves as secretary of the board. Mr. Penzis, may I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Bruce.
Present.
Mr. Campbell.
Present.
Mr. Claybrook.
Here.
Miss Conrad.
Here.
Miss Scurlock.
Here.
And Chair Rainey.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. The Memphis and Shelby County Board of Adjustment is the oldest appointed governmental body in Memphis and Shelby County. We were established in 1925. The board hears appeals from the administration of the zoning ordinance, requests for variances from the zoning ordinance, and other requests articulated by local zoning laws adopted pursuant to the enabling legislation. The 8 members of the board are appointed, 4 by the mayor of Memphis and 4 by the mayor of Shelby County, with confirmation by the Memphis City Council or the Shelby County Board of Commissioners. We serve without remuneration. At this time, I'd like to swear in the staff. You may remain seated. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Do.
All right, thank you. May I get a motion to approve the minutes from last month's meeting?
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded. All those in, any discussion? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion passes. Mr. Secretary, could you provide us a secretary's report if there is one this month, and then explain the procedure for today's meeting?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. As for the Secretary's report, there are no announcements this afternoon. The procedure for this meeting will be as follows. I will introduce each case as listed on the agenda. Copies of the agenda can be found at the left front podium. For each case, the planner with the Division of Planning and Development will give a presentation. At the conclusion of the staff presentation, the applicant will have 5 minutes to present his or her case. After the applicant's presentation, those speakers in support will have a total of 5 minutes, then those speakers in opposition will have a total of 10 minutes, and then finally the applicant will have 2 minutes to provide rebuttal. These times do not include time for questions from and answers to members of the board. The chairman may provide additional time provided both sides are given an equal amount of additional time. All parties who wish to provide testimony to the board will be sworn in by the chairman. If a member of the audience wishes to provide testimony in support of or in opposition to a particular case on today's agenda, he or she will need to fill out a speaker's card for the record. Speaker's cards are available at the left front podium. Once speaker's cards are filled out, they can be submitted to any DPD staff member at the left podium. We do not need speaker's cards from the applicants since their names are already part of the record. After all parties have been heard, the board will close the public hearing, make a motion, and then deliberate on the case. If the applicant or any speaker would like to be heard after the conclusion of the public hearing, or if a board member wishes to hear additional testimony from any party, a 2/3 vote is required to reopen the public hearing pursuant to the board's rules of procedure. Please note that once the public hearing is reopened, both the applicant and opposition will be allowed to provide additional testimony and/or rebuttal. All motions by this board will be made in the affirmative. The private acts governing the board require the affirmative vote of at least 5 members to approve an application, regardless of the number of board members present. The board may also vote to hold an application for a period not to exceed 3 months with the consent of the applicant or 1 month without the consent of the applicant. All section numbers that we refer to come from the Memphis and Shelby County Unified Development Code, or the UDC, which was adopted by the Memphis City Council and Shelby County Board of Commissioners in August of 2010 and became effective on January 1st, 2011. I will introduce the entire UDC and make it part of today's record, thus dispensing with the reading of individual sections. The board is vested with the power to act on these cases before us today under the provisions of Chapter 9.22 of the UDC. Mr. Chairman, I submit that all cases have been filed in proper order, all applicants have been notified of this hearing, and all notice requirements have been fulfilled as required by the UDC.
All right, thank you, Mr. Secretary. At this point, the board will establish a consent agenda. To establish the consent agenda, the Secretary will call out each eligible case. If any members of the audience, staff, or board member objects to a case being placed on the consent agenda, he or she should do so by a show of hands when the Secretary reads the case. Once the consent agenda is established, the board will vote on all cases placed on the consent agenda as a whole, will not hold individual public hearings on those cases. Mr. Secretary, which items on our agenda are eligible for consent this month?
First, I would just like to note that item number 7 has been withdrawn.
Okay, thank you.
Item number 2, BOA 2024-1 124 at 400 Fawn Lake Drive as a hold for 1 month. Item number 3, BOA 2025-13 at 10,011 Humphrey Road as a hold for 1 month. Item number 4, BOA 2025-16 at 3750 and 3754 Park Avenue as a hold for 1 month. Item number 5, BOA 2024-128 at 1073 South 3rd Street as a hold for 1 month. Item number 8, BOA 2025-27 at 1112 Ryder Avenue as approval with conditions. Item number 9, BOA 2025-30, located on the south side of Monroe Avenue, east of Danny Thomas Boulevard as approval with conditions. Item number 10, BOA 2025-31 at 1939 Madison Avenue as approval with conditions. Item number 11, BOA 2025-34 at 2841 Carnes Avenue as a hold for 1 month. Item number 12, BOA 2025-35 at 995 East Parkway South as approval with conditions. And item number 13, BOA 2025-41 on the east side of North 2nd Street between Hickory Ave and Henry Ave as approval with conditions.
Okay, thank you. At this point, may we get a motion to approve the consent agenda as established by the secretary, which is going to be items 2, 3, 4, and 5 as holds, 8, 9, 10 approval with conditions, 11 as a hold, and then 12 and 13 approval with conditions.
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded. I want to remind the board members by voting on the consent agenda, he or she affirms that he or she has read the staff report and is in full agreement with the conditions. Mr. Secretary, may I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Bruce,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Claybrook,
Yes.
Ms. Conrad,
Yes.
Ms. Scurlock,
Yes.
Chair Rainey.
Yes, I find the standards for variances in section 9.226 of the UDC are being met, and the cases will not be unduly detrimental to the other properties in the vicinity.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you very much. So if you're here for any of those cases, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, or 13, you've been approved or held as requested, and you are free to leave quietly. At this point, if we'll call the first case that we're going to hear today.
Item number 1, BOA 2025-7 at 3470 Rockwood Avenue.
Okay, the applicant's here. Is there any opposition to agenda item 1? Okay. If we could get a staff report, please. Mr. Waldrop's up.
Yes.
Looked a whole lot more intimidating.
I did. And I read through them all.
All righty, good afternoon. Nicholas Wardroff with Division of Planning and Development. This is a request at 3470 Rockwood to retroactively allow a covered front yard parking pad and for that covered front yard parking pad to encroach into the required front setback. So the applicant is seeking retroactive approval of 2 main site improvements which were installed without permits. The first is a concrete block and decorative metal fence. The other is a covered front yard parking pad. Really, this application is mostly about number 2, and I'll explain why. The reason for that is that the code gives us the authority to okay the fence administratively, and we're intending to do so on a few conditions. So that being said, while we are recommending rejection, that rejection wouldn't require the fence to be removed. It would only require the front yard parking pad and the structure to be removed, and I'll show you photos. So here are some photos taken by zoning enforcement. You can see they're dated early and mid-December of last year. So again, the concrete block and fence, we can okay administratively, and we're intending to do so on the condition that the rest of the site come into compliance. Okay, so this is the main code language that has been in place since 2021 that generally speaking prohibits front yard parking pads or parking in the front yard of a single family home. So, of course, a variance to that would have to be granted in order for them to keep the structure as they have it. And here, again, they would also need this setback encroachment variance is for the actual structure itself, the covering, to be clear. So they would also need a setback encroachment variance. And then again, about front yard fencing, the code gives us some administrative leeway on that, but it is in here if there are questions about the fence. Okay, so again, as I've stated, we intend to okay the fence administratively on two conditions: that it be parged to meet the intent of, the UDC says brick, and so we're okay with parged concrete block, and the site being otherwise brought into conformance. Regarding the front yard parking pad and the structure, so as you know, the code requires, in order to grant a variance, it requires this body to find some unique physical characteristic that justifies that variance, right? And simply put, this is a single-family lot, just like every other one in the neighborhood. And so we can't find a unique characteristic that would justify granting a variance from that provision. Additionally, the UDC, why does it prohibit front yard parking? Well, it does so for a reason. It tends to preserve a visually welcoming built environment. It intends to create semi-private space that we recognize as a social good and a legitimate planning goal. So that's sort of the intent of that provision in the UDC, and why we find that granting the variance on the parking pad would undermine that intent. So we are recommending rejection. However, we have provided several recommended conditions. If approved, this would incorporate those fence conditions about parging it and bringing the site otherwise into conformance. And that is my presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions for staff? All right, Mr. Bray?
Bray Firm, 2950 States Plaza North.
Do you want to,
I'm sorry.
yeah, you're fine. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I did.
Okay, go ahead.
We're in agreement with the conditions.
Is your mic on?
Sorry, it looked like it was.
Gotta preserve the record.
We understand about the fence and thankful for that accommodation by staff. As far as the parking pad goes, we hope you guys will give it some consideration. I have the applicants here to explain how the parking pad came to be, why they put the cover on it, and what their use of that is, as they explained to me when they first came to me, and I think they can do it better than I can. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Mr. Alvarez move up, and
okay.
then I'll come back if you have questions.
Very good. Yeah, are both of y'all going to talk, or just Mr. Alvarez?
First.
Just, okay. Why don't you both give your names and addresses for the record, and I'll swear you both in now. So then you can talk whenever you need to.
My name is Juliana Alfaro, and my address is 3470 Rockwood.
Okay, and then can he give his name and address?
Hey, my name is Juan Garcia. My address is 3470 Rockwood.
Okay, so I'm gonna, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Okay, go ahead and share with us.
Well, I come for this moment to request about the porch. When we start building it, we know that I need a permission. So I have this notice that I have here in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
So when I see this one, I go straight with the permanent place. They send me with another one, so another office, and I get Mr. Davis to help us. And he asking if we need, we pay for somebody else do the building. I say, no, we're trying to build it by ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then he say, well, I'm gonna help you to do all this for you. We can do. And then I had pictures. We start building it in the front of the house. Sorry, I have here some pictures. Like he showed the first time. We trying to do it in the front because we have the fence. We trying to put the cars on the front, like parking, and they have all straight space to if you have emergency. The fire departments or the ambulance, they can go straight. We never lock the fence. We try to leave it like that. If for emergency, you can slide the door and then go straight. And they have another side door. It's a wood door. They can open like easily. But we trying to save the porch because we do it in the front more because they have the kids either, and they can move the cars and we can wash it in front of the doors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
When we start to build the fence is because the crime is really terrible on that or area. So I want to protect my family. And if I say I'm doing something wrong, I'm so sorry. It's the first thing. I just want to cover my kids just want to play outside. And, we want to just let my kids play free. And the porch, we built it because when they built the house, all the water is going through there. We try to keep water out from the house. And when we got some problems with the floor, I just removed a piece of wood, and under the house is like a river when they're raining.
Mm-hmm.
They damage my house really bad. So we try to keep the porch and just put the water away from there and try to make it some place where my kids can play. We cover just on front where the water's going through.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're doing something wrong, just sorry. But what we try is doing something better for ours. And, the fence we built just for protect my family.
Sure.
And the porch for give my kids good place to play, and they don't damage my house no more. But really, really is like a river when they're raining in there,
Yeah.
under there.
Okay.
And I say sorry for doing something wrong.
Okay.
Wow.
I have one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Either we have approved, they asked for neighbors, my two neighbors on the side, if the porch is bothered or construction, and they say no. And I have letters.
Okay.
He signed in, and they said, I like your house because you have the porch for your kids.
Mm-hmm.
And my neighbors, they come and play. And this summer, when they start these rainings or this sun, they're coming. My neighbors, they come and play right there. I move my cars outside, and I let it play in there. And I guess they feel good or saving because they have a place with a shade they can play. It's by 7 kids that come into my house and play. In my phone, I have my camera in the front, and you can see it if you want to see it. I mean, it's all I have. And as well, like I said, my husband apologize if we do something wrong or we're building something is not in the space.
Sure. Are there any questions for the applicant? Before? All right, Mr. Bray. Yeah.
Just to clarify on part of that, the original, I think in one of the aerials that Nicholas showed that, the pad was in place before the cover was in place.
Mm-hmm.
And all of this started as an attempt to address a drainage issue with water running towards the house. So the pad was intended to make sure that the water was directed around the house, and when that wasn't sufficient, the cover helped shed that water more to the sides instead of it running towards the house. So that's part of what he was trying to explain there.
Sure. Okay.
So that's all I have, unless you have questions.
Are there any questions for any of the applicants? All right.
Let me
Yeah,
ask
go ahead.
a question. So, are there other alternatives for draining the water Is there anything else that you could do to keep the water out of the front yard?
Really, we try, and my neighbor, all the water from the house, they're going this way. My other neighbor, the water is going this way. So we try to keep away, and we really try the best we can. But like I say, the only thing is put the porch in there and put some gutters and try to dig like a ditch to put up PVC pipe. I talked with my neighbor. He say he's okay with that. If dig it and put some there, but it's too much water, and that in my house is like this. It really, I'm promised. When they're raining, you can see it looks like a river under my house, and they smell, humidity. They really, I'm worried about my.
So sounds like the water drains into your yard from your neighbors.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, if it's coming on the ground, it's draining to the ground, how is the covering?
No,
the roof?
because the neighbors, they go like this,
Okay.
but in the front is like this.
They have
That is not level or
Okay.
or this is not go to the street or nothing. All the space what we got at the porch there, all those water, they go like this. They can go there because they got level like this. My house is like under. Yeah.
Okay.
It's really hard. Like I say, when I'm trying to see if I can replace a piece of wood and they're raining, it's sand all that area. And they go to damage the house, you know.
I see.
And that's why I'm not finished that because I want to put gutters and everything, but they stop my, you know. But I really bad. You know, we try to put the concrete and make the level to the other, but it's too low. It's too low. You know, this kind of time, this raining a lot.
Thank you.
Great. Other questions? All right, thank you very much. Let me just make sure there's no opposition to this case. Okay,
Thank you. I'm really
All right.
appreciate it.
okay, so if we could get a motion to approve BOA 2025-7 as conditioned by staff.
So moved.
Second. Moved and second. Any discussion?
Sure.
Yeah.
I was having a hard time understanding specifically how this stops water. I mean, I understand in the big scheme of things, it's shedding water, but does water still not get to the house from the other side, from the area that's not covered, or groundwater still runs towards the house? So this solution feels like it might not be as effective as the thought of it, because if you're getting water from the neighbor's house, that water is still going to come down.
Yeah, I mean, you can do the concrete in a way that sheds away from the house.
Yeah, I would just say, like,
without concreting the entire yard.
That's what I was saying, slope the concrete.
Slope the concrete
But if
away
you
from
look at an aerial view too, it's almost the entire yard driveway, it's all concrete, so it's all impervious. So
Yeah.
none of it is being absorbed in a flower bed or grass or something like that.
Exactly. So,
But I'm with you, Aaron. The way the roof's pitched, it's pitched towards the house.
bring
so,
water
yeah.
towards it.
You're speaking of the roof on the canopy on the.
Canopy roof, yeah.
Yeah, canopy, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the fence as it was built, and parch it, and it could look really nice.
Yeah,
It's a nice
yeah.
looking fence, but I think the whole concrete of the yard is just, and the cover is just too much.
There's a lot of natural ways you can
Yeah.
avoid, everybody's yard's getting rained on or getting water. So, I mean, this is not, if this was the best solution, everybody would have something similar to this. I think it's just a matter of, like you said, the imperviousness of what he has there, which you had enough flower beds or enough pop-up drains, and you can handle all of that overflow way more aesthetically than this canopy covering, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Other thoughts?
I'm with you. I agree with I agree with the fence, but I think the canopy and some of that concrete is a bit much. Question on the pad, and I'm trying to look at it through the purview. It's in the front yard, but it's also going on the side of the house as well. Is there a driveway going?
The concrete
Yeah,
drive.
so you can see in this aerial here that the driveway, to the side of the house meets the code. It's just where it cuts in front of the house that's the issue.
So we do have a concrete driveway. It's just the front. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, any other thoughts? Okay, if we could get a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Claybrook,
I just want to be clear on what, so it's rejected, a yes vote is,
Yes,
yeah.
Sorry,
Yes.
yes would allow exactly what's there. A no vote basically allows the fence, because the fence they don't need a variance for. They can just
Got
watch it.
got it.
Mr. Claybrook,
No.
Ms. Conrad,
No.
Mr. Campbell,
No.
Mr. Bruce,
No.
Ms. Scurlock,
No.
Vice Chair Savage Selden.
No, I find that the standards of the UDC of 9.22.6 are not being met and will be unduly detrimental to the properties in this vicinity.
And Chair Rainey.
No.
Motion fails.
All right, so fence can stay, but we can't have all the canopy stuff. Good luck. If you could call the next case for us, Mr. Secretary?
Item number 6, BOA 2025-10 at 2374 Dedrick Avenue.
Okay, is the applicant present? I think so. Is there any opposition here for agenda item 6? Okay. Ms. Neer, if you could give us a staff report, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Nabanita Nira with DPD. I'm presenting the case BOA 2025-0010 located at 2374 Dedrick Street. The applicant is requesting variance to allow an uncoated chain link fence and not provide an evergreen landscaping, and to allow a vehicle control device for residential uses without 20 feet QE space. These are the location map and vicinity map. The subject property is in commercial mixed-use 3 zoning district, and current land use is multifamily. This is an aerial image of the subject property. The applicant constructed the fence without building permit, resulting in a stop work order on November 2024. These are the fence image from December 2024. These are the image from January 2025. The fence material is chain link painted black and 8 feet 2 inch in height. According to the UDC, uncoated chain link fence is not permitted in the CMU 3 district. The proposed fence shall be PVC color coated in either black, dark green, or dark brown. Also, the chain link fence shall have screening of evergreen landscaping. The property does not have any street trees or landscaping. These are the photos from Dedrick Street. The property is at an intersection where Ethel Street is controlled with a stop sign, and Dedrick Avenue is through street. This is a type A intersection where the clear side triangle must be kept clean. The fence location along the curb is creating site obstruction. The proposed site plan shows two gates along Ethel Street. The proposed gates do not have 20 feet QE space depth, which is required by the UDC. This is the survey of the property. In conclusion, the proposed chain link fence shall be PVC color coded in either black, dark green, or dark brown, and shall have screening or evergreen landscaping. The applicant stated that the variance request is based on the safety and security of the property and the occupant. The property was recently affected by fire damage and is currently undergoing reconstruction. The applicant's concerns are valid, however, not reasonable for the variance in question. The permitted by right alternative to a variance is a vinyl coated chain link fence with evergreen landscaping in the front. The proposed gate needs to have 20 feet QE space depth. Also, the fence location at the intersection is creating site obstruction. The staff recommends rejection. However, if approved, staff recommend the condition on the screen. This ends my presentation. Happy to answer any question.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Nira?
Did I hear you say that they got an order to stop constructing the fence in, I think you said December of 2024?
Yes.
And then the fence was constructed?
No, the fence was constructed before, and then they got the stop work order.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. On the January 2025, the painted black, and I can't tell from here, is the screening, the wiring, it's not painted, or should it be painted?
It should be PVC color painted, but they just painted black.
Okay, thank you.
What is the height of that fence?
8 feet 2 inch.
Okay.
And what's the allowable height, or is there an allowable height?
8 feet.
8 feet, okay.
Okay. Other questions, staff? All right, if the applicant give a name and address to the record.
My name is Cole Fairchild, 2374 Dedrick.
Let me swear you in real quick. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay, go ahead, Mr. Fairchild.
Thank you guys for your time. Basically on the fence outside of the ordinary, it is a black painted, but it's black painted epoxy on galvanized, which is the same thing as the PVC coating, but it'll last actually longer, and you're able to touch it up over time with the semi-gloss on it. In regards to why the one that's so tall, it's a deterrent. Ethel Street runs between Park Avenue, where the liquor store and Speedy Corner is, and on the other end is Cashmere Pond, McDonald's, and Burger King. Not the greatest of areas, but not the worst as far as living there. The problem with Ethel Street is everything between. There's so much foot traffic for people that don't live there. There's 4 porta potties that are currently there, serviced and always, serviced because of the amount of traffic that's there. There's barrels that during the wintertime they burn trash in to keep warm, which is understandable. Now, in concerns to this property being a corner lot, all the foot traffic that comes through it cuts the corner. As a matter of fact, the neighbor where the wood fence is behind, once that fence is erected, she's had 0 instances of people coming through her backyard to her side door. They'll come to the side door to the backyard, they'll pass out, they'll rummage through things. So she already feels, much more secure with that. As far as the gates go, and there being space, the gates that would be on the Ethel side are actually roller gates. So they'll be rolling to the inside and out, not swinging. So they'd be secure. The front Dedrick Street entrance is just a 5-foot pedestrian gate. In regards to the code wanting evergreens and things of that nature, well, if we put evergreens along the front, that'll automatically obstruct the line of sight for traffic. When you're coming off Dedrick to turn on the Ethel, you're not, the way you come off of Ethel on the Dedrick, you're not coming to get against traffic, you're making a right with the traffic. So as far as line of sight with the chain link, you can actually see what's going on there. If you put evergreens up there, yeah, aesthetically, it would be probably better to have the evergreens. The problem with that is it obstructs the view and also allows people to like stoop down and be behind the evergreens. So, I mean, I know crime is an issue with every case y'all probably hear and things of that nature, but in this area, it's a real problem. I'm wanting to move forward with the construction process and actually take what was the dilapidated property and turn it into something that's going to be really nice. But as far as the security for the residents that would be staying on that property, they would feel much more secure and also, you know, they wouldn't be as reluctant not to live there is what I'm saying. So with the 98-inch tall fence, which just makes it, you know, I can reach up to 96. So 98 is basically me at the top of my hand. So if you did want to reach up and grab it and do that, you could. The deterrent is if you were to hop the fence, you've got a 98-inch pole on the other side. So that's what keeps it from that. As far as property itself, how am I tied into it? More than just the commercial aspect. I actually have a 3-year-old nephew that will be living in one of the units. The other 3 will be rented out to, you know, Section 8 or however I go about doing it. But I'm not just wanting to do this because I'm looking to, you know, profit off of it and have it as a rental in the area and, you know, pad my pockets with it. I actually do have an interest of who's living there and why they're living there. So I understand all the concerns with it and everything. I'm just asking for the variance for the security reasons associated with it. And aesthetically, the post height right there, all that'll be, you know, chopped down to where it's flush to the top. It'll have a front rail, a 5-quarter board on the top rail, the center rail, and the bottom rail, all painted black again. I know they want to use the vinyl coating, but there's a mismatch on that. When you use a rail to go along, you have to paint that rail. They don't have a PVC vinyl coated rail to go on that. And just from personal experience, the epoxy painting on the galvanized actually provides more of a sheen, and the sheen is what you're looking for to make that transparent look so traffic can see through it and have an easy flow and things of that nature. I understand the evergreen concern, but honestly, in this neighborhood, evergreens up to 4 foot high would obstruct the view of traffic on that corner lot, but also would be a problem for people that were up to, you know, no good being able to hide behind the evergreens or come through. Like I said, the neighbors that are right there next to the property, all they do is sing praises with tears in their eyes. They're like, you know, thank you for reducing the amount of traffic that comes through our backyard, our side yard. I mean, it's just a lot of foot traffic over there. It's not, and I hate to say it, it's not the greatest area to want to have a multi-family unit, but I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to move forward with it and make it a desirable, you know, place for that area. Because as of right now, it's turning around. There's a lot of crime in that area, and a lot of good people that are affected by it. So that's, you know, as far as that goes, I'm willing to be in compliance however I have to be. But on that particular property, I feel the need to, you know, to go above and beyond to make sure that the security measures are, you know, intact. Also, just another side note, if you're looking at that picture, if you go back toward the McDonald's, there's already an 8-foot galvanized chain link fence with barbed wire wrapping the whole thing. It's not aesthetic. I don't plan on having barbed wire up or anything like that. I just want a nice fence to secure the property. And, you know, like anybody would want over there, they could appreciate having a gate that you should, you know, could secure and lock. So at the end of the day, it'll improve the neighborhood, the quality of the neighborhood, and the aesthetics of the neighborhood drastically compared to what they have been for the last several years. And the property in question here on Dedrick has already caught fire once because people, the whole reason the fence went up in the first place that quickly was 7 instances of picking up tires, building debris, and concrete off the property that was, you know, dumped by somebody looking for somewhere to dump. And then the plywood, before the fence was erected, about every 3 weeks we would come by there and the plywood's been ripped down, somebody's staying in there, squatting in there, whatever. Since the fence has gone up, it hasn't happened one time, none. So, I mean, it's already serving a purpose and actually achieving the purpose. So, that's all I have to say on that. But from the looks of it, the post will be cut and it'll have caps on the top, center, and bottom rail and functional gates that will prove well to heighten security. So.
How are the gates going to work? Is it like a remote control
It'd be a
or?
remote control where you would RFID to the entrance, or you could bypass that by undoing the latch and you could manually open and close them. The largest entrance will have two gates that actually come and meet in the center. The shorter one that's closer to the Dedrick Avenue side would be one gate that functions. Then the front would just be a regular pass-through pedestrian gate. Also, it's on a quarter lot. If you look at the aerial, the two driveways that are there, I didn't just pick them. They already had the driveways there. So you can actually wrap the building, and go around it. But also to provide a play area, basically. So one area that's in there, I want to keep landscape, with sod, Bermuda doors, or whatever it is, where young people that would be living there would actually have an area to play, or if you had a pet, you'd be able to let your pet out there. Crime statistics-wise, y'all are very well versed in that, but just on Friday, for instance, there was a murder, and it happened Friday evening, and it was only 5 houses down. And the guy was killed in the front yard. It's not the only. It's the Speedy Corner down there. It's been declared a public nuisance, almost like I could tell you how many times. There's a lot of crime in that area. So that's the main gist of it. So.
Okay. Are there any questions for the applicant?
Yes. I understand about the height of the landscaping, blocking the view. Is there any landscaping that you could propose, just to?
I could put flower beds, knockout roses, azaleas, something of that nature along the perimeter of the building, maybe on where the front canopies are for the side entrances and the front and rear entrances. They've got the old iron posts like you've seen, a lot from years past. Those will be replaced with a cedar 6x6 or a treated 6x6 that will cap it with cedar. And we could put a mulch bed or something there. Now, as far as right up to where the back of the sidewalk is, if need be, yes, I could make way to put something there, but currently it's asphalt. Once you get to a certain point of it, the asphalt's kind of, it's old and sort of in disrepair, so I could take it up and leave part of it as a mulch bed before I asphalt it back in the other areas. But there's not a lot in the way of existing landscape out there. There hasn't been. There wasn't when I acquired the property.
But yeah.
When I acquired the property, it was very bad. But I wouldn't be against doing something of that nature. Like I said, the only thing I would not like to do is to have evergreen bushes or something that are above, 24, 36 inches high or something, because it for one, it will, block the view for traffic. But other than that, honestly, I don't want to, have something for someone to hide behind or jump out from behind of, because that may or may not be a concern in some areas, but honestly, in this area, that is a concern. And also, there's a lot of traffic from that McDonald's location right there, because it's open pretty late into the evening and all. You get a lot of traffic coming through there on that. So.
But if the planning was on the inside of the fence, there wouldn't be anyone jumping out. Because they wouldn't be in there, correct?
Correct. But if you were to go out of the pedestrian gate to go on to Dedrick Avenue, if there are bushes on the inside, they'd be able to squat down in front of it and, have you when you come out of the gate. So.
What size bushes are, we're talking about the evergreens that would have been called for, how tall are they supposed to be?
The UDC does not call out the specific height.
Okay.
So it'd be a mixture. And obviously, any clear sight triangle would have to be maintained.
Right.
Yeah.
And really, the option, if you didn't want any landscaping, the UDC says this should be a wrought iron style fence, so like the aluminum wrought iron style is what would not require the landscaping or the evergreen landscaping system.
And on my behalf on the wrought iron, so I was going to do a wrought iron approach. Wrought iron it's like an attractive, without it being fully completed, finished and stuff like that, they will still wrought iron pretty quickly. I've seen it happen. It's happened more than one occasion. Aesthetically, once this is completed, it'll be a beautiful fence. It'll serve the purpose it is supposed to serve, but with the chain link coated in the middle of it, it doesn't serve as much of it's not as an attractive metal to steel. And if you guys have ever been in areas where they have large painted chain link fence or PVC coated fences, it's almost a transparent look. When it comes to that line of sight, you can see through it very easily. So it's not it's not something that's going to obstruct your line of sight. So I mean, you could stand on the Ethel Avenue side back there and look straight through those fences where it's at now and see all the way to the person in the drive-through window at Burger King, no problem.
I'm going to say it. It looks like a concentration camp fence. It just does. It doesn't, to me, look like a nice-looking fence, and it could be just the pictures. It looks like a cheap fence that you just wanted to hold a bunch of people in. Not that you're doing that, but I'm having trouble with the fence.
So the fence railed out, and I mean anything.
And it could be that, the things sticking up too make it look worse, and I know those are going to come off, so I'm trying to picture without it.
The brick itself on the structure itself. So that'll be it'll be primed. The colors I'm going to go with right now will be Whisper White, Breezeway Green. Of course, you can't have bars on the window or anything like that, Section 8, so it'll have functional shutters. Cedar shutters that just operate as storm shutters.
Mm-hmm.
So you close the shutters from the inside, you can put a pin and they're secure. From the outside, you can pin them and, have them open where you can see the line of sight on the windows. So, I mean, even at wrought iron at 8 foot, I mean, the feeling of being, within an encampment or something is going to exist.
Sure.
I mean, we've all drove past the penal farm before. If it had black coated PVC, it would still feel like it's a prison.
Right.
Like I said, I don't have the intent to make it a hindrance to anyone around there. And anybody that you were to survey or have a conversation with in that area would very, very, very quickly tell you that fence serves a purpose. They're happy with the purpose, and they do not feel like it's a burden to anyone in that area in any way. So.
I also have another question about parking. I mean, it's a multi-family. How many units are in
So
the
it's
multi?
4 units. They're all 2-bedroom, 1 bath. So parking wise, in the rear, it's it'll be asphalt all the way around. So the parking will be in the rear and along the fence. Without the fence there in the rear, there will be no way to designate a parking spot. They'll just drive over and off the curb or park under the tree next to it or park in the empty lot next to it. Since the fence went up, that has stopped also. So there were always vehicles, people just hanging out in them, sitting them doing what, I have no idea, but they would sit under the tree, they'd be back in the corner. A couple instances, they came over there and took a transmission out, changed some hub assemblies on some tires, things of that nature. With the fence there, that keeps them from being able to, basically use the property as a mechanic yard.
Okay. Questions for staff. So is there a problem with having the parking lot kind of wrap around the building, or do we get into sort of parking pad issues like our last case with that?
So this is zone CMU3.
Okay.
So it's not, that's usually an issue with single family.
Okay, that's what I thought, just making sure. Any other questions for the applicant? I'm trying to figure out some sort of happy medium on this because I understand the need for a fence. What are the typical sight line? How much of if we wanted to keep a lot of this fence but move the corner back, where would the code say that fence in the corner would be need to push back to?
So it depends on what the two intersecting streets are, but it's usually not very much.
Right. It kind of rounds that corner though a little bit more.
Yeah.
So it's currently rounding the corner. I mean, which is really the only way you can do it to allow the access for pedestrians that come through there, especially if somebody was in a wheelchair or something like that. You don't want to cut the real tight corner. They need to kind of do it with ease. So. And the gate wise, like I said, it's just a security matter as far as being able to secure the gate at night or secure the gate when kids are out there playing, things of that.
Yeah, no, I totally see a need for the gate. They just usually are far enough where a car can go in front of the gate while it's opening and it's not blocking traffic is the idea on that typically.
So so it'll be a roller gate. I mean, they'll stop at that point. It won't, I don't foresee it causing any sort of problem, for instance, like Chick-fil-A causes on Poplar or something like that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, for the few seconds it takes to open, you know, and that's, I mean, who's to say? I mean, how many vehicles would actually be parked on the property if it was fully occupied? Not everybody that's, for instance, my nephew that would be staying there, they don't have a vehicle. They use MATA transit system everywhere they go. So there'd be no vehicles from that. Now, if all the other 3 units had 2 cars per unit, that would be 6 vehicles that would be parked out there. You'd be looking at a maximum of about 8 vehicles, and if they had people visiting, it could be somewhere up along the lines of 10. But with the fence up there and having a designated parking area where you could strike parking lots off, you know, for the spaces, you would be able to have a car get in there, know where they need to park, and, you know, have it secured like that. For instance, if you look where it's not highlighted in yellow across the street, quite often you'll pull up there and it's a parking lot. And it's not a parking lot for people that live there, it's just a parking lot for parking.
So you have 2 operable gates on Ethel Street, right? The one at the bottom, which is
Correct. It would
17, and then the one that's up top, which is 24, right?
Yes, sir. So it would be the one in the back that's further on Ethel, like you're headed toward Park Avenue, and then one more would be up there on the front. There's no real way to access a gate off of Dedrick itself without having to, you'd have to get a permit and cut in a new curb apron, things of that nature.
No, I was just trying to understand, is there the need for 2 operable gates? Is there
So with the smallness of the lot in mind, so if they didn't have the 2 gates operating, you wouldn't be able to drive in one gate around the building and out the other.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah, no.
having both of them allows traffic to, basically you could have like an entrance and an exit. Not having the traffic flow like that would end up, you know, causing like little traffic jams or somebody parking in some kind of way where they're obstructing somebody being able to leave, things of that nature.
Could you make one only be an entrance and one only be an exit?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay.
You're thinking the entrance be the one just 14.5, maybe, away from the edge, since it's a little further?
That's what I'm thinking, the entrance be in the back.
And then
So if you're not stopping so close to Dedrick.
Right.
If you're coming, you know, from the south, somebody makes that corner, boom, you're there.
that makes the most sense.
What are you gonna say?
He was saying that this one became the entrance because this has a little
Further
more
from the
distance
intersection,
Right.
so you're not queuing up close to an
This
intersection.
one is an exit.
So
You
you're
always
going
exit.
around here and to
You'd be
get
going
out?
counterclockwise around the building would be the traffic flow.
So where
Makes
is
it onto
the,
busy street.
there's no play area then?
Whatever,
Well, that's
wherever
what
was
he
gonna.
keeps talking
So
about.
on the backside where it slopes down from a hill, now there's not gonna be a large play area, but it's gonna be an area like you'd have, say from the fence in the back, you'd be able to come out about 5 feet, and then of that 5 feet, you'd be able to go the total, what is that, 65 or so feet, so you'd have about 250 to 300 square foot area of play area / dog area.
Like a dog run, yeah. Okay.
There has to be
Right
an area
along
over
there.
in my opinion, where I have some side.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, the lot's not, doesn't encompass a whole lot of space. I mean, it's,
Right.
you know, it's a little less than a quarter of an acre. It's 6,000 something square foot total on the entire lot. So that's kind of why the 2 gate thing, it's just, I'm just looking mainly for functionality as far as the
Sure.
gate, the flow of traffic goes, and then
So I guess what I'm confused, the hand-drawn sketch does not show a porch or a sidewalk from the center, but
So porch or sidewalk is meaning they're at the very front, which is the Dedrick Avenue side.
Uh-huh.
There are 3 doors there. 2 doors access bottom floor units. The 1 door accesses the 2 units upstairs. Same thing happens in the rear, except there's 1 door to access upstairs. Porch-wise is where it's a landing pad out there that is covered, so like you know, so you can go into your door. Now on each side for the bottom downstairs units, they have it's almost like a, you know how when you go into it's not a large porch column-wise per se. You could have it where it's just coming cantilevered off the building itself that just serves, you know, people from getting wet. But on those, I was going to have 2 columns also on that. That's kind of porch area. And then as far as play area things of that nature. If you're on the Ethel Street side where the roller gates come through, the
Between-
space between the actual brick of the house and the fence can all be, that can all be sodded as well.
Right.
That's currently where the gas meters, it's kind of a utility cluster, but as far as having an actual area where it can be grass, that's also, possible.
Other thoughts? Okay. Thank you so much. And I'll ask again, there's no opposition here, I don't think. Okay. So if we could get a motion to approve BOA 2025-10 as conditioned by staff.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any thoughts or conditions if someone wanted to approve this? Go, scroll down.
What are your thoughts? Just want to get some feedback on the fence not being a PVC.
To me, I
fence.
just
Does
went
that matter?
up and down the street on Google Earth, and there's not a PVC coated fence, with it all the way to
Coating
Park
is-
Avenue, and lots of them aren't even painted, so they're, just galvanized aluminum or steel, whatever whatever chain link fence is made of. They're also not as tall, so that's probably why it looks different, but I don't necessarily have I'm with Tim. I don't like the way the fence looks right now. But I don't know if it was PVC coated, it would make a huge difference to me.
It's not.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with the material versus the PVC. If that was allowed, I think I'd be okay with that.
Okay.
And also,
We're in discussion, sorry. Or do we have 4 or 5 members that want to hear from the applicant? No, okay, thank you. So I think we can get past that, is my thought.
I do think it's gonna look visually better once you cut it down. I keep covering up.
I
that
saw you
top.
doing that, yeah.
And so I do think to some degree that's gonna help it not look like some encampment type fence. I do feel like it needs some level of landscaping though.
I do.
Like it's-
Well, and that's a condition.
Yeah, like it is.
Final site and landscape plan, so.
It's so barren looking right now, and I don't, and I know ideally the landscaping would typically happen on the outside of it, but I think it needs something. It needs something on the inside.
Do we need to do a variance to allow it on the inside? Because it would typically be on the outside, or does that not make a difference?
So, right, if you wanted to prove it on the inside, you would, approve the variance as stated, but then add a condition that the evergreen landscaping, there must be evergreen landscaping on the inside of the fence.
And I think that camouflages a little bit of kind of this materiality of it.
Yeah.
So,
Whenever it's low junipers or something like that, those don't get very tall
And
at all.
in my mind, I see his point on, line of sight and security. It doesn't necessarily have to be 4 feet tall, or just some ground cover to kind of mix it up from asphalt.
yeah, you can have something along the line, and then when you get into that kind of view triangle, maybe something's
In front of that.
maybe something is low right there. But outside of that view triangle, you can go back to some decent size landscaping.
Okay, here's my proposed conditions. 3 is the evergreen landscaping shall be on the interior of the fence. 4, the site plan needs to be changed for whatever the sight line required by code on the corner. And I don't know what that is, but so that fence would be just pushed back a little bit there, but we wouldn't have to put anything in front of it in that possible grass area. The north driveway is the only vehicular entrance to the property. The south driveway would be exit only. And I think I can even change that to just, I might might be okay with the South Drive just being exit only. So the one closer to the thing, you can only leave there. I don't really care the one in the back if you leave or come. If interior works for people to leave by that one, I think I'd be okay with that. I think, but the
You were okay
closest
with
to
not putting-
Dedrick needs to be exit only.
I agree with that.
Exit onto the busy street versus stop.
Do we need to talk about height of landscaping?
Well, as I understood it, and, the landscape, I'm thinking about the fence. So you'd be okay with the fence?
Yeah.
Once he trims the,
The top, yeah, I'm okay with it being
Yeah.
8'2" versus 8. I'm not too
Okay.
worried about that.
yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be reviewed and approved by DPD, so I don't think we need to talk about
Okay.
height in my,
I agree.
as long as someone's,
Was there a condition that just says to trim off the tops too?
Number 6,
Oh, yeah.
the top of the fence will be trimmed off to 8'2". That'll work. So number 3, I think should be evergreen. What do we call it again?
Evergreen landscaping
Evergreen
system?
landscaping shall be installed on the interior of the fence as approved by staff.
Okay.
Or approved administratively.
Yep.
So that would be, 3 is that evergreen landscaping shall be on the inside of fence as approved administratively. 4, the southeast corner of the fence shall be moved, adjusted for proper sight lines according to code.
Instead of sightline, we'll say clear sight triangle.
Clear sight triangle, thank you. 5, South Drive will be exit only. We won't talk about the North Drive.
Yeah, I mean, because you only care about the one with the small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what was our 6? The top of the fence will be cut off to, a flat top with 8'2" max height.
So the only other issue, and it sounds like we're okay with this, but looks like they were asking for a variance on the queue space outside the gate. We're okay with the cars lining up on the street
Well, I think that queue space was
if we push the fence back.
the queue space.
Right now, the queue space would really end up only being, I guess, for the north one, because
14.
Tim's current condition, the south one is exit only. So it'd be the north one would not have any queuing as currently proposed.
That queue space would be approved as it is on the site plan per condition 1
Okay,
without moving the fence.
okay.
Yeah. Under those conditions. Any other thoughts on that?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Mr. Pensis, if you could give us a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Bruce,
So this is with the conditions we just talked about. Yes.
yes, as amended. Ms. Conrad,
yes.
Mr. Claybrook,
Yes.
Ms. Skurlock,
Yes.
Vice Chair Savage Selden.
Yes, I find that the standards of the UDC of 9.22.6 are being met and will not be unduly detrimental to the properties in the vicinity.
And Chair Rainey.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, it's been approved as condition. Thank you so much. All right, and so I think we have one more item.
Yes, we have Mr. Rick Winchester who would like to address the board.
Okay. All right, Mr. Winchester, and you're coming as an attorney, so I'm not going to swear you in this time. Yeah.
I am here pursuing Rule 4 and 5 of the.
Oh, can you make sure the mic is?
We.
Oh, can you make sure the mic's on?
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
How about that?
I think I can hear it now. Yeah.
We submitted an application challenging a decision of a building official to issue a building permit for a piece of property that many years ago was dedicated by the founders of Memphis to the city of Memphis. Wasn't dedicated, the property was not transferred, but a easement was transferred to the city of Memphis to construct a public promenade. The building permit that was issued allows the construction of a museum. The building permit application contained an affidavit that was not notarized, contained an erroneous legal description, and had a lot of other issues with it. Over and above the fact that it was issued to someone that did not have any rights to the property. I don't want to get too far into the weeds because there are people that are opposed to that are not here and hadn't been given notice and need to have the opportunity to be heard. The staff has not filed their report, and they apparently do not think that this is appropriate because they rejected the application. Rule 4 and 5 of your rules allow, if we disagree with an action of rejecting the application, the rules allow us to come before you and ask that be put on the agenda for the next meeting. That's what we're doing. We're not asking you to rule in our favor. All we're asking is for an opportunity to be heard after you've gotten a staff report, after you've heard from us, after you've heard from the other parties. So that's the purpose, and I'm told I have 2 minutes. So I'm here today to ask that this application, which has been filed, first time it was filed, they didn't take it. Second time it was received, I got a courteous email from Mr. Ragsdale, but saying that it would not be considered. So we're asking that it be considered, not that it be approved. We'll ask for that next time. But we would like the opportunity to be heard. We'd like for the staff to have their input and tell you why they don't think it should be granted. And we'd like for the other parties to be given notice and an opportunity to be heard. But until that's done, we don't have any recourse. We can't file a petition for cert because there hadn't been a decision by the board. We were told by one official that our recourse was to go to the Board of Appeals. We asked Ms. Anderson about the Board of Appeals, and we're told there hadn't been a Board of Appeals for 10 years. So we've been told to go to a board that doesn't exist. So that's my request to you today, is just to allow us to be on the agenda for the next meeting and have the opportunity to be heard after full input from all the affected parties and the staff.
Okay.
Any questions?
Are there any questions for Mr. Winchester?
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. So we don't get asked to do this very often, just so you know. So I need to lean on my staff to tell me what our proper action or what we should do here. And that might be to Mr. Rowling.
Robert Rowling, board attorney. Ultimately, this is the board's decision. I can explain to you, or the secretary can explain the actions in rejecting the appeal. I will just say that the law is that building permits, this is an attempt to appeal a building permit. Building permits, the issuance or denial, is appealable. And second, the secretary is authorized to reject an appeal if it is insufficient. I don't remember the exact words from the UDC, but words to that effect, or inappropriate. Ultimately, it is the board's decision. The ultimate issue here is the ownership of the property. There is a lawsuit pending on that issue in Chancery Court now, and that was the main reason for the rejection.
Okay, due to pending litigation on the subject that where the staff feels is the better place to handle figuring this out, basically.
Yes, that, and the fact that the board is really not authorized, it's not your jurisdiction to make that decision. The ownership of the property, the proper use, who may use the property is not a board decision, but primarily because there is an action pending in Chancery Court on the ultimate issue. It's also worth noting that there have been a number of building permits issued for this property already. It's the Brooks Museum. Construction is underway, and none of those permits were appealed.
I got a quick question. So if we put this on the docket for next meeting, what is our allowable actionable response to that hearing? Like, what are we looking to do in regards to that if we hear it?
Well, see, the answer to that is confusing, isn't it? What are you going to do? I'll let Mr. Winchester, he can speak for himself, but the appeal was for the building permit. There is not an appeal of the secretary's action in rejecting the permit, which is what the rule refers to. So if the board were to accept an appeal on the rejection of the building permit, then presumably if Mr. Winchester's side won, the building permit would be revoked.
For the Brooks Museum?
I'm not sure what this building permit does. Mr. Penzias may be able to speak to that. As I say, this was one in a series of building permits. Construction is already underway, as you no doubt know.
So, question about the litigation. If I understood you correctly, the litigation is over ownership of the property?
Yeah,
is
I
that
see
right?
Mr. Winchester nodding his head, and that's what I understand from the newspapers, which is all the information I have on that lawsuit.
And that's different from what we're considering. We're considering a decision or an application for a building permit.
Correct. The reason that Mr. Winchester and his clients want to appeal the building permit is because of the ownership issue. And the ownership issue is what is pending in Chancery Court.
And I will say, from my understanding, the building permit in question was, let's see, it largely has to do with exterior and interior finishes.
Okay. Did you have something, Mr. Winchester?
Just very briefly, the lawsuit is about ownership. That's one factor in the building permit, but there are other factors that would justify overturning the building permit. The legal description, the problems with the affidavit, and so forth. And all we're asking for, again, is the opportunity to be heard. Shoot us down next month. But do it with full knowledge and giving us an opportunity to present our case.
Can you add just a little clarity when we're saying building permit? Are we talking about a portion of the site, or are we talking about the entirety of what's already under construction right now?
I think it's what's under construction. As I understand it, there are a series of building permits. There's not just one.
Okay.
And again, I think it's not appropriate. Turn us down. We have an appeal if we choose that. If not, so. But we need to have an opportunity to be heard, as does everybody. Thank you.
It sounds like staff's initial reaction was that, well, let's wait till the litigation is over before we pick this up. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, that was the ultimate reaction. Because we'll, of course, abide by whatever the Chancery Court does. The city, I guess, is a party, but we'll abide by whatever Chancery Court decides. And the city is obviously willing to take the risk that they could lose because construction proceeds apace on front.
Like, there's not been a stop work order or anything as part of the lawsuit. The city feels confident enough to let it keep going.
Not that I know of.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
There was originally an injunction.
I remember that. Yeah.
Very large ones.
Yeah.
If I may, what we're hearing, the building permit was issued, and when it was issued, they submitted a zoning for a different piece of property, which is a requirement that they submit on, and they submitted an affidavit of ownership that was unsigned, unnotarized, and undated. I believe those are requirements of the planning department, of approval of any building permit. So they have submitted false information to get that building permit. So this is really very much separate from
And I guess my thing is I understand that, and if that's true, that's something that it seems like the court of law is more apt. I guess my question is understanding what decision could we make that will overturn what the court of law is in the process of reviewing.
Yeah, what power do we wield?
What power do we wield?
That's right. That's right.
Just whether an error was made in issuing this.
And do we have that? Do we have that authority?
Yes, currently.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Never knew.
Look at us.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the issue is. I guess we would hear that when we hear it. It's just, whatever it is, whatever we're going to hear, do we have the authority to hear it and make a decision that means something? If so, I guess there's, why not hear it? Once we know what the issues are and really understand it, we can always reject it. Is kind of what I'm thinking now. But if it's again, it depends on what the issue is. If it's an issue that we really don't have the authority to make a meaningful decision, then why waste our time? And I don't really know that.
Okay. Other thoughts? When we vote today to hear or not hear, is it five votes, just like normal? Okay.
I'm still confused. Attorney it out. So, and then this is just from my point of clarity. In Chancery, we're challenging ownership rights.
Mm-hmm.
Here, we're challenging the issuance of a permit under false documentation.
Right, yeah.
And it was specifically a permit for basically interior and exterior finishes in the building. Was the specific building permit that they filed an appeal to. They did not file an appeal to the other building permits that were already issued. Right, the UDC has a timeline that you can appeal things.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the one you could file.
Oh.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
okay.
okay.
Statute of limitation. Okay.
And there are actually two building permits for the building. One is what was built first, and then this is the second building.
Okay.
It covers more than, it's all the.
It's more than the bones.
All the.
It's the skin.
Okay.
It's a big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
To issue for that.
Any other thoughts before we vote? Yes, sir.
One correction, I see that we have 7 members here. The vote is procedural, so it's just a simple majority.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments before we vote? Okay. Yeah.
So in other words, Chancery Court could say that they don't own the land, and then, but we would hear a case ahead of time and said, you can do the building permit. That's, in other words, if we ruled that the building permit was valid, but the Chancery Court says that the property ownership isn't. I'm saying, in other words, you have a.
I think that's true. I think what they would argue is, well, whether they own it or not, they're sure building it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's fine and good that Chancery Court tells us in 3 years they don't own it, but it's built.
Right, yeah, good, like, as it, easily, like, we're ruling on something that goes against
Or the
contrary
opposite,
to-
Chancery Court comes by and say that there's proper ownership, which means our case.
Yeah, but until Chancery Court rules, the current owners are the owners, and they can proceed with building. Now, until that time, they can proceed with building, and so we've got to deal with the issues that come up there.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we'll know more when we hear it.
All right, Mr. Penzis, will you give us a roll call, please? And it's just yay or nay, guys.
We would need a motion.
Oh,
and then a second first.
motion to, is there a motion to approve the appeal to